It was a clear April day, surprisingly warm considering that it was Passover, on which the weather is usually cold. A day like this would be great for nature barbecue. There, girls, and not to be bored in the police station duty room, so thought the young policeman. Suddenly, a young guy who looked his age ran into the department. The sergeant immediately recognized him. Vasca, the son-in-law of the secretary of the district party committee. Usually he behaves somewhat impressively, but here his eyes are frightened. Red, his hair is tousled. Accept the statement. It was I who killed her. He rushed with a cry to the counter where the policeman was pining. I can't take it anymore. Slaka has tormented me. There she is, standing in the corner. He pointed his finger at the corner near the entrance. There was no one there. Colleagues came running in response to the noise, and as a result, Vasily ended up in the investigator's office and told a chilling story. The guy married, for convenience, the only daughter of the local party boss. He got everything he could dream of, but something was missing, and the guy decided to get it on the side. At the factory where he worked, he liked the girls fat pretty, laughing, who had plenty of admirers. It is not known why she liked the rather frail and frail Vasya so much, but she reciprocated. The novel was kept secret for a long time. Svetlana lived alone on the outskirts of the town, and her lover made his way into her yard without being noticed by the neighbors. Sobering came in the fall. Sveta announced that she was pregnant. There was a scandal, and the girl said that he could get out. She would raise the child herself. Vasily left, and a day later he realized what a fool he had been. What if a child is born like him? How will Sveta demand alimony and file a lawsuit? It is likely that the father-in-law will side with the lascivious son-in-law. Goodbye then. A prosperous life. A good job. Now, if the former lover had died, but the girl seemed to feel great, and was in no hurry to go to the next world. At first the thought of murder was frightening, then it became habitual, and after a week, the determination came to remove Sveta, to remove problems in the future. Everything turned out to be easy. It turned out to be easy to lure Svetlana out of the house late in the evening for an important conversation. Probably, the girl hoped that the insidious lover would offer to be together. It was also not difficult to strangle the girl. Vasily dragged the limp body to an abandoned house, threw it into a dry well, pelting it with branches. They missed Svetlana at work, called the police, but the case was quickly closed, as they say no body, no case. There was no one particularly worried about the fate of the girl. Her mother died, and there were no other relatives. The locals decided that Sveta had left with some gentle, and the girl was distinguished by some frivolity. Vasily took a breath. It seemed that the idea was a success, but he was in vain to rejoice. After some time, Svetlana began to appear to him, first in dreams, then in reality. He saw her as if she were alive. At first the girl simply looked at him intently, and then began to strangle him at night, or tried to drag him out of bed by his legs, howling terribly. Murderer. The deceased rode next to him on the bus, was nearby at work, and only Vasily saw her. Those around him flatly refused to observe the ghost. One night, in the spring, when the murdered woman began to strangle him again, he croaked, "What do you want?" The girl whispered, "Justice," and disappeared. The rest of the night passed quietly, and in the morning Vasily went to the department. The investigator, despite the fact that the visitor looked out of his mind, still decided to check his words. In the indicated place, at the bottom of the well, the remains of a woman were found. She was identified by the ring on her finger and the remaining remains of her clothing. It is not known what the fate of the killer would have been, but it did not live to see the trial. He hanged himself in a cell on a torn sheet. On a hot summer day in 2000, I tried to turn into a chocolate bar on our city beach. Not far from me, a group of young girls were playing volleyball, and suddenly one of them came up to me and invited me to join them. I liked her so much that I immediately agreed, although, to be honest, I was very lazy to get up from my blanket, and in the end, we met that day, and the next weekend the girl invited me to visit her. She was alone at home. However, in the large room there was a large cage with 2 parrots, and on the balcony a slightly overweight cat was breathing fresh air. We talked about life and drank cold beer. Svetlana admitted that she also has a dog, Tessia, which her parents took with them to the village, and then she suddenly decided to show off another friend of hers who lived in her room. She followed him, and I remained sitting in the chair. The thought occurred to me that Sveta would now bring a pet rat or hamster, but she suddenly returned, holding in her open palms a tarantula spider, such a big spider. A girl with a happy smile on her lips asked me, "Isn't it cool?" But if only she knew what was going on in my soul at that moment. After all, even when I see an ordinary cross near me, my legs become weak, and here is this poisonous giant. I stared at the monster like I was staring at the barrel of a loaded gun. Both the cold and the trembling chilled me to the bones, but my friend didn't seem to notice anything on my face. Probably a good 10 hit the pallor on him from the fear that I felt in those minutes, and Sveta suddenly handed me her pet and said, "Hold him. Just be careful. I'll be right there." And with a shudder of my heart, I had to take this monster into my own hands. What was left to do? After all, I can't show the lady that I'm on the verge of fainting from horror. The girl quickly left the room, and soon the switch next to the toilet clicked, and I sat there petrified and looked at my enemy, and in my soul, I probably felt the same thing that terrorist hostages feel when they have been given time bombs. I sat there in a daze and eagerly awaited the return of my friend. In those moments, I dreamed of changing places with a person who suddenly encountered some vampire in a cemetery or a werewolf in the forest, and I already regretted that I came to visit this attractive student from the medical university, and he wildly wanted to get out of her apartment as quickly as possible. Finally, Slater returned, took her spider from me, and took her back to the room, and I was glad for myself that I didn't let my ass home throughout the entire apartment like the chimney of the Cherepanov's locomotive, although the gastrointestinal gases fermented in it like new wine in a barrel, and I had to tighten my anus. As a result, our meeting did not end in a soft bed, and I left with nothing. These painful memories of that tarantula spider stood as an impenetrable wall between me and Sveta, and in the end, everything fell apart overnight, and we forgot about each other. This is my arachnophobia, and only once more after that meeting did I have a terrible nightmare. Theta, as miniature as Thumbelina, smiles welcomingly in my palm, and a giant tarantula spider, as tall as the chair in which I am sitting, stands near my knees. I'm scared to the point of chills, and I'm afraid to even move. But, fortunately, that dream ended suddenly, although I remember it to this day.